Welcome back to Beekeeping 101. Today we're going to talk about the 10 things that you need to be a successful beekeeper. I always start this off by talking about bee safety. So the first thing you're going to need is a bee suit and gloves. This will protect you from the stings of the bee. I know that you've probably seen people not utilize protection, but for me this is a non-negotiable when I'm working with honeybees. The second thing you're going to need is a Hob tool. This allows you to maneuver through the hive. It operates like a crowbar because the bees will create a seal around components of the hive that you need to go through, and this helps you maneuver freely throughout the hive. You also need a lighter and a smoker. The smoker will help cut down on the communication with the bees so they won't see you as a threat. It won't be as aggressive to you. So the first thing that I like to do before entering the hive, after I put on my safety equipment, is light the front of the hive to let the bees know that I'm coming in. Another thing that you're going to need is a top cover. The top cover is the seal to the beehive. This prevents any outside debris from entering the beehive and disrupting the colony of bees. You're also going to need a top feeder. There is a period in the year where the bees cannot make honey for themselves. It's called a dearth. And what you can do is you can make a 1-to-1 sugar syrup formula that you can feed the bees that will enable them to perform normal hive function. You're also going to need an inner cover. The inner cover helps you maintain bee space from the top of the colony and the bottom of your top feeder. Bee space is 3/8 of an inch, and anything smaller than 3/8 of an inch, the bees will be deterred from entering the space. Anything larger than 3/8 of an inch, the bees will draw out wax to make it 3/8 of an inch. You're also going to need a follower board. What this does is it condenses the bees when they're in the colony to promote them to focus on the area that they're in and not to end up on the side wall of the other material in the beehive. You're also going to need a frame. And your frame is what the bees will draw wax on and live on. There are different types of frames, but here at Sankofa we use plastic foundation for our bees. You're also going to need what is called a deep. This is, now, depending on what beekeeping system you run, we use a Langstroth configuration. You have 10 frame and you have 8 frame deeps. We use 10 frame deeps here. And to go back to the follower board, if you only have bees that are drawing out 4 frames, it will condense them to stay in the space so they don't end up wasting their energy and time on a part of the hive that they aren't yet building out. And depending on what your preference is, these things get really heavy. So if you're beekeeping by yourself, I would try to start in mediums just because of the sheer weight. When this is full, it can weigh upward of 100 pounds if it's full of material. The last thing you're going to need is a bottom board. We use ventilated bottom boards, and this helps the bees regulate the temperature and air. This brings airflow. It's like an HVAC system for the bees. So the bees produce a lot of heat inside their colony, and this helps filter out that heat so the bees can maintain temperature. So thank you everybody for joining us, and remember, these are the 10 things that you need to be a successful beekeeper.